On Monday, the 29th of September, we inaugurated our newest exhibition, Presence, a gallery of spirit art housed within the sanctuary of the chapel. Each one of these pieces has been produced via some sort of alleged paranormal phenomena, whether it is spirit influencing the mind or hand of the artist, or indeed being the artist. Spirit art is a phenomenon that has been ongoing since at least the 19th century, when Georgiana Houghton put watercolours down on swirls drawn by spirits using an automatic writing planchette within the séance parlour. Later, Augustine Lesage was transformed from a coal miner to an artist possessed by spirit to create enormous, complex, abstract artistic works. Then, with the advent of photography, spirit took up the challenge and guided the mediumistic hands of clairvoyants, including Coral Polge, Lorraine Coffey, Helen Jones, Kelsi Davies, Andy Moore and Stephen Cox, to create portraits of those once living. And indeed, the spirits themselves even have the opportunity to come through and influence the material, directly transmitting their messages and art through automatic writing planchettes onto paper, and with the arrival of artificial intelligence, through the medium of non-human generative art. In many ways, it would not be untrue to say that all art is spirit art, for when we tap into that imaginative space, we don't really know what it is that we're doing, what muses we're calling upon in order to express ourselves through different artistic means. I myself am a writer, and I certainly feel as though when I enter that imaginative space, I'm tapping into energies and feelings that are far beyond my material self. But when we look at the pieces that we're featuring in Presence, the sort of spirit art that we mean is very definitive. It comes from spirit in a very pure form, and in the case of spirit portraiture, shows the likeness of individuals now past who were once in the living. There have been mediums all throughout human history, but what makes spirit art really interesting in the modern day is that with photography, cameras were able to instantly verify the portraits that spirit artists produce. It goes beyond just having that instinctual feeling that the person being drawn is related to you in some way. You're able to pull out a picture and say, actually, that is my relative. Their eyes are the same, their features, their face, their hair color, it really is them. And for people who are not entirely immersed in the world of the paranormal, that can really be the evidential link that they need in order to feel like it's safe to believe in survival, that life after death really is reality.
I think the paranormal is the metadata of reality in a way. And I think spirit art sort of taps into that. I think when mediums and psychics are drawing portraits or pictures that are somewhat abstract, it's because they're trying to tap into something that lies underneath everyday reality. It's sort of the cause and effect before the cause and effect.
So the way that spirit art works through me personally, I know that it works differently with other artists. They will see, they will kind of visualize who they're drawing initially. There's Helen Jones, I think that she possibly visualizes partly who she's drawing, and then she just is guided to draw. And what I find for myself is that I get this feeling of it's like a knowledge, an inner knowledge that I now can draw, and I just allow my senses to take me on the paper or the canvas to where the pencil or charcoal or pastel should go. And I trust, through many years of doing this, I just trust my intuition on where my hand should go, really. And as I form the portrait and form the outline and the portrait, I have specific ways of going about drawing. It has kind of moved on. Initially, I would start with the eyes. If I use pencil, I always start with the eyes for some reason. If I use pastel and charcoal, I always start with the outline, general background of the face, and then build the portrait up with colours and with character in the portrait. And I can feel and sense the spirit that I'm drawing. And then sometimes and often though, I get little visual clues on the portrait, on the actual paper itself, and that will allow me to, I'll put a line here, put some shading here. Are the eyebrows like this, or should they be up a bit? Is the hair in this angle, should be highlighted in this particular place on the portrait? So as it develops and grows, I can see that the wonderful kind of portrait come out, and it's such a feeling of being humble that you're able to do that, that one is able to do that. And what's more humble, if someone then recognizes that portrait, if it's a relative, that is, recognizes that portrait, and then can identify the information I'm also giving as well. That's very humbling. Sometimes the portraits I work on are people, for instance, this person here is alive, and he was ill and unwell that particular morning. So obviously we don't have the photograph before they do the portraits. The portrait just done and then presented to the person I've done the portrait for. And this particular one, this gentleman, was her stepfather, so there was no visual likeness that I could. I couldn't look at her and I think, oh, that's a good idea, I'll just put this and put that, because I'm just drawing her, really. I didn't actually know that person very well. But then this is actually not even connected to her on as a relative. So this surprised her. And what was great is he's still alive, and he was just ill that particular morning that I drew the portrait and just needed healing. And then this portrait up here was done from someone who, this is her father. Again, I didn't know her. The person I drew for, and I was drawn for her, and then after I drew the portrait, she just produced the image on her phone. So that is a lovely feeling. I also got names as well with that portrait, so I was quite happy with that.
I have had a reading by Stephen, and when he did a reading with me, he didn't even see me so much. His eyes went further. It was in a darkened room, all quite mystical, and he seemed to see something beyond me and was able to read my family. He got names and places and professions, even my name, even though I hadn't actually told him what my name was, spelled it correctly as well, which nobody does. And then he drew a portrait as well for me, which I keep to myself because it's of my aunt, and it just looks exactly like her. And I have it at home, and I quite treasure that, because even the way she was captured on that portrait. It seems very intimate, very personal. Back to the idea of capturing the metadata of reality, is like he was able to capture the emotion, the eyes, the look, in a way that those close to the person he's drawing a portrait of will know instantly.
What I really loved about our Michaelmas opening evening was that it brought people together. It brought together some of the artists featured in Presence. It brought together regular visitors to the museum, particularly our museum members, and those who were curious about spirit art. It's not really something that we come across in our daily lives, not even within the paranormal. It's quite niche. It had more of a heyday, I believe, in the 20th century, and has kind of gone underground in a sense. Those those people who are interested in spirit art know it and engage in it. But for most people, it's this segmented off part of spirituality, this segmented off part of the paranormal. So it felt really good to introduce this very rich, fascinating and beautiful part of the paranormal to people who don't ordinarily encounter it. And in addition to that, I like to think that everybody had a fantastic time, that this really is a community space for the paranormal, for people to come and connect and talk about their experiences, to just enjoy the atmosphere of the building, enjoy the art, and enjoy other people's company. And so I'd like to say a really big thank you to anyone and everyone who attended our Michaelmas opening evening, whether you were one of our annual members, somebody who had never been to the museum before and was curious, one of the featured artists, or indeed our very good friends Amy and Jared of Amy's Crypt, who were also in attendance that evening and were able to answer questions about Ghost Tube Seer, which actually made a feature within the exhibition, because the art is not just made by the hands of the living, but also the hands of the dead as well.